Welcome to the Employee to Boss podcast, a podcast for everyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. Every week, I am joined by successful guests in all different industries and stages of business who will share what their experience was like transitioning from employee to boss. This is a resource for you if you're wanting to start a business, go all in on your side hustle, get to the next level in your thriving business, or just hear what it's like taking the leap to becoming your own boss. I'm your host, Hayleigh Hayhurst, the owner of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast production agency specializing in editing, marketing, and strategy. Let's dive into today's topic. Hey, Carol, thank you so much for joining me in the Employee to Boss podcast. I am so excited to be chatting with you today.
I am so excited to be here. I can't wait to dive into the conversation.
Yeah, so why don't you start off by telling us more about who you are and what you do, because what you do is really cool. We met at a networking event and just, you'll get into it, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, totally. So I'm Carol and I live just outside of Seattle. I am a mom. I have two kids who are still in school, one middle school, one elementary school. It's interesting. So I think I always dreamed about maybe running my own business when I was younger, but never really took that route because that's just not it's just not like, it wasn't in my household. It's not what I was kind of taught. So I kind of followed this very traditional route of going to college, getting a job, making sure that there were steps to climb after getting a job and all of that stuff. And then of course, life happened. And I'm going to fast forward a few years, but life happened. And now I currently run Sparkle Hustle Grow, which is a subscription box for female entrepreneurs. I like to say, though, that we're so much more than a box of stuff. We are education, inspiration, and we do a little kick in the ass for you to help you move your life along. We're really about growth.
I love that. And I'll definitely put your Instagram and links in the show notes for anyone to go check out your products. But what are some typical products that are in your subscription box?
Yeah, definitely. So there's always a book in each box. That's kind of where the education piece comes in. So the book is written by an entrepreneur. Oftentimes it's a female entrepreneur, and we've had amazing business women featured in the box. And sometimes they also give us a little freebie, a bonus training, a live training just for our group, an evergreen training, or a workshop, and so on. And so there's a book on business or personal growth and development. The two really do go hand in hand. And I didn't really know that until I started running a business. Mm-hmm. This whole thing is a journey in stepping into who you are, owning that, but it takes a little bit to get there. And if you're like me, I'm a late bloomer. It's taken a while. So here we are. So the book, fun, inspirational things to support the book or the theme that month, whether that's a journal, really fun Post-it notes, cool gel pens, things that you would actually use. Mm-hmm. And we've pivoted just a tiny bit for this 2025 year. There's a self-care product in every box. Burnout is real, especially for women in business. We juggle so many things. And it's actually a real phenomenon as recognized by the World Health Organization. I did not know this until quite recently. And so the self-care product is really to force you to take time to pause, breathe, and just rest. I know hustle is in our name, Sparkle Hustle Grow. And there are definitely times when you have to hustle, for sure. But at the same time, life is a balance, and there are definitely times that you must rest.
Definitely. So tell us about your journey from employee to boss. What did that look like, and how did you come to, I know you bought Sparkle Hustle Grow, and so a lot of people, I think now do you know who Cody Sanchez is?
I do, and I love her.
She's great. And I think she's really building up the word of buying businesses. So I think it's been a really hot topic lately. So what did your journey look like?
Yeah, for sure. So I as I kind of mentioned before, so I'm a corporate person. I'm an ex-corporate woman, and I my background is in advertising. So I worked both agency and client side. And I chose that not because I always wanted to work in advertising, but again, I think I've always been a little bit led by fear. Like I wanted, well, no. See, the enlightened me is like it wasn't just fear, it was also stability. I wanted I wanted it all, like we all do, right? So I worked in college and I was like, I want a path that kind of is a guarantee of making a certain amount of money. And for me back then it was six figures. So although I majored in journalism, I kind of fell into advertising because there was this real direct route of you start off as an assistant on the agency side and you can work your way up. So I stayed in corporate for about 13 years. Did I love it? Not really.
Yeah.
Like, I think I learned so many things. I met amazing people, but I felt a little stifled. I felt like I couldn't really be who I was. I felt like I had to show up and be someone different. And in the creative ad world, it's just different personalities. I consider myself a social introvert. So I love to go deep. But if I go into a room with 100 people, I will absolutely feel overwhelmed. You know, there's some people who go into a room and they're like, oh, I want to meet everyone. That's not me because small talk really exhausts me. I want to go deep with like the 1 to 3 people so we can pull back all the layers and we can really see each other for who we are because we wear a mask every day. You know, and I think I
Yes.
wore a
Yep.
mask for so many years in corporate. So anyway, by this time I had my daughter and I opted not to go back to work, which is a great privilege. I really wanted to spend this time with her. And then I started kind of plotting for baby two. And that was very difficult for me because it just wasn't happening. I During the time I had five losses. So I had
Oh, wow.
daughter, the 5 losses, and this is over a course of years, right?
Mhm.
And ultimately I had my son. So I have the two living children, but I had what is referred to as secondary infertility, just could not, nothing would stick. So my second baby is an IVF baby. Um, all the pre-screening and all the technology that's offered today is amazing because we were able to transfer a healthy embryo. So I think that whole journey was very trying for me, awful at times, hell as well. And so I just knew I didn't want to go back to a corporate environment. And I had this idea of maybe I could lend other women the strength that I so desperately needed at the time. During the course of those years, I bought myself a fertility bracelet off of Etsy, and I took that thing with me everywhere. And on the days that I was mad or depressed, I still was very aware of where it was. Like, oh, it's in my purse. Oh, it's on the table because I don't want to deal with it right now.
Mhm.
And so Henry was born and, some time had passed. I just thought I want to gift women the gift that I had given myself, which was strength and the wherewithal to hang on for one more day. So Asha Blooms was born from that very difficult journey. Asha means hope in Hindi and life in Swahili. I have a multicultural background, so does my husband. And so we wanted a word that could be heard in more than one language. And I started quite small with that. I started just at a few markets, handcrafted jewelry by myself. They were
Wow.
paired with messages and names. So, for example, the names of the pieces would be like, you are loved, or I am strong, you can do hard things, one day at a time, things like that. So it really was perfectly packaged for gifting to someone else. And that's kind of where we found our little niche was that gifting world. And so I ultimately did a lot of wholesale. Um, so it's e-commerce, an e-commerce business, wholesale, and continued to do like some live markets and stuff, but it wasn't a brick and mortar. And eventually my husband joined me. So he left his corporate and we kind of did it together. Did that for a few years, got really burnt out. And I think I was in a season of change. and wanting to still gift people intention and inspiration, not really sure what it meant. Started looking into businesses just to see what was out there. And this subscription box kind of fell into our laps.
Wow.
Here we are.
Here we are. What a journey. Thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't know all that about you, Carol. That's truly an inspiring journey that you went on. And that is, like you said, I don't love going into rooms with 100 people and want to meet them all either. And that's why I podcast, right? So I get to know these people that I meet at, just like you, at a networking event on a deeper level. And so I love that the piece of jewelry that you bought had such an impact on your life that you wanted to give that to others. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I think that, yeah, that was the big takeaway. See, people ask me, oh, did you love making jewelry? Were you always kind of a maker? And I feel like the vehicle could have kind of been anything. It really was about the end message. It just so happened to be jewelry, and it makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
it
small,
does.
women wear it, but yeah.
Yeah, gifting is just a whole thing in itself. It's a love language. It's a way to show people that you love them. And it's also just, there's so many different ways to gift things. And so I love that that's kind of where you found your passion. And so when Sparkle Hustle Grow landed on your lap, like you said, what were some of the things that you did when you decided you wanted to buy it? Was it, an already established business that you just kind of took over and it already had marketing, or did you have to figure out all of the marketing of this new business that you own?
Yeah, it was a little bit more of the former. So
Okay.
the original owner is the founder of Sparkle Hustle Grow. She's amazing. Her name is Julie Ball, and we are still in touch. She wanted to offload the product part of her business and continue her coaching. So that's kind of where her sweet spot is. And she coaches all things subscription box. She did a fantastic job of having built up a bit of an audience and some true fans. And so when I came in, I kept things the same. What I did do, though, was I really leaned very heavily into who the guest expert and author would be. I had a list of women, a list of people that I wanted to have in the box. And those people included women like Amy Porterfield, Miss Nelson. She founded Sprinkles Cupcakes, Jada Selner, Rachel Luna, amazing kick butt women, Melissa Ambrosini. So that was what I did my first year. I kind of went to work, wheeling and dealing, like behind the scenes. There's so much, it's a product-based business. So it's like, just to bring it to life it's like any business. It takes so much work that people don't necessarily see. It's all behind the scenes. And so
Yeah.
just contacting their people, negotiating rates for the books.
Yep.
We do buy wholesale for our products. So that's a whole thing in and of itself. And then I wanted them to do more for us. I wanted them to host workshops or trainings just for our group. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of the first year. And I think while the former owner had the training aspect, it looked a little bit different.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really cool. So one thing that you've mentioned quite a few times is like the whole personal development and how that is so tied into entrepreneurship. And I do think it's something that most people don't know until they they start their business, right? And it's something that really pushes you forward. I mean, we deal with well, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I deal with imposter syndrome all the time, and balancing like my business life and personal life. That's something that definitely I've had to work on in the past 4.5 years that I've had my business. And I love that there's resources like your subscription box that kind of helps you develop yourself in a way that is business minded, but also with your value being, spending time with your children, spending time with your family. That definitely ties into the life side. So can you tell us a little bit more about this whole world of personal development while balancing a business?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like I could talk personal growth and development all day.
Yeah.
I really love it, and I think it's growth is one of my core values from like a personal perspective as well as from like a business perspective. I think if you're not growing, then you're not like living life to its fullest. So because we have a book in every box, that's kind of like the big takeaway. The stuff
Yeah.
is great, the stuff is fun, you can use it, so wonderful for that. But it's what do you do with it? What do you do with the knowledge that you've gained? Even if you can't read the whole book, we are so busy. I totally get it. What is one takeaway from the book? And let's just say you've been a subscriber for a year. So let's say you get 12, because it's a monthly box, you get 12 boxes, and you are only, and I'm using quotes here, you are only able to learn something just over half the time. So let's say 7 of the 12 months. Those are 7 small takeaways for you to do in your
Yeah.
life. And I
Yeah.
think that's what the whole thing is all about. Like it's all about um, incremental growth as well as compounding growth. And Cody Sanchez talks about this too. It's like something you start off with something small and then you just stack on it, and you look back on this over a period of time and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that thing that is so small is now has now grown to be so big."
Yeah.
Think stocks, right? So that's I lean so heavily into that. It's not about following everything to a T. It's not about hacking necessarily, but it's really about embodying that one thing that you can learn over a period of time, because then you have small things that you stack on top of each other.
Yeah, habit stacking is a game changer, honestly. I wanted to read more lately, and I don't know, I love business books and like self-improvement books, and that was all I was reading. And then I was like, maybe I should read some like books for fun too. So I'm still trying to find the balance of reading those. But honestly, personal development books have been a huge game changer in my business, because even if I'm just reading like 10 pages a day, right? In the morning when I wake up or right before bed, it just gets my brain going of, this person did this, like why can I not do this? Or like, can I make this happen in my business too or in my life? And so I love that kind of the key thing in the box is the books, because also books are one of those things that I don't think a lot of us buy for ourselves. We will kind of put it off, or it just may be an investment that like we don't necessarily, want to go get. But I love that it's delivered right to your door every month. And so it takes the guesswork out of it. And I'm sure also if someone subscribes to your box, they can message you and, talk about the book with you, I bet.
Yeah, for sure. We One of the benefits about being a box subscriber is there's a free call every month. So there's no
Cool.
charge for this. The real intention for this is to get in a room, virtually, and meet other business owners, talk about your business obstacle or challenge. So kind of like a true mini mastermind, mini, and then get ideas or suggestions in real time about how to move your life or your business forward, since the two go hand in hand, and then get some intentional networking in as well. So it's like
Yeah.
the box with all the good fun goodies, the education, almost like the DIY coaching, if you will, and then the live call, which is just a bonus. And then remember, you have the self-care too. So
Right.
all the aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that. I think that even that call in itself is so valuable, I bet. What type of women are in the room?
All kinds of women. I mean, we have brick and mortar store owners to hairstylists, photographers, other service-based providers, bookkeepers, coaches, consultants, people who still work corporate and then maybe have like a side thing. So it really spans. It varies. It really does vary.
Hmm.
Definitely some product-based people in there as well, people who are makers or perhaps resellers of other products.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So for anyone listening and maybe wants to get into maybe like a subscription model business, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I would say what is you have to find a niche. So, and I think there is a niche for everyone. I've seen subscription boxes for like Harry Potter lovers to,
I love that.
which is so funny, right? But like grown-ups, not for
Yeah.
children, to sticker hobbyists, to people who love the outdoors. So, what what is the niche that you're going to fill? That would be my first advice. And then do all the research there, like who else is in the space? Do you want it to be monthly, quarterly? All those kind of basic questions from a business perspective. And then if you're going to do this by yourself, you'll probably start on the smaller side. Just be prepared for like manual labor, just getting inventory shipped to your home or your garage or your storage unit. It's so much like unpacking all the inventory
Yeah.
that you get, repacking all of that so it looks nice in a box, those things. And then that's just like the almost the step one. And then comes the hard part, which this applies to any business. It's the marketing. How do you position yourself? How do you showcase your special sauce and your offering to others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you've done that to stand out in, you know, not only the subscription base, but you have found your niche so you can, market to that. But what advice do you have in that space, or what have you seen works for you?
Yeah, so because we are so hyper focused on female entrepreneurship, there's a couple things. We love to be in partnership with other women. So there's always a female owned product in the box. I think one month we had every single thing that was female owned,
I love that.
which is amazing. So it's sharing that with the person you just bought the product from, so they can showcase maybe perhaps to their email list or on their social. Leveraging the author relationship is pretty big. So you're buying the book, at this rate. And even though they're doing all these wonderful things for the box, or they did in the past, just asking, could you do a giveaway? Would you be open to doing a giveaway?
Mm-hmm.
All the fulfillment are on our end. Here's all the swipe copy, like making it super easy for someone to say yes. Getting in the room with people. So networking is key. We are an e-commerce business. We ship all over the US as well as Canada. But I think it helps just to have your local community like be fans.
Yeah,
So, and I think that would extend to any business, product based, service based. It's just meeting exceptional women, sharing what you do, and not being icky salesy, right?
yes, yeah,
I hate that. And you can like spot that a mile away, but just being really organic.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I love that. I mean, those are really great, things to keep in mind for anyone who is in any sort of business. So speaking of community, have a couple events coming up here in the Seattle, Washington area. One being a mastermind, I think you said. Can you tell us more about what's coming up in your world?
Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited for this. So, I have just launched something. It's an online program. So, it's actually open to anyone, anywhere in the world. It's
Cool.
called Sparkle Hustle Growth Club for people who are maybe not so much into the stuff. So, they don't want to receive a box every month, but they do
Hmm.
want to grow their business and they want to do so in a smaller community. We are the group for you. We are all about sharing, again, your business challenges, your obstacles, and then together. And that's kind of what a mastermind is for people listening who don't know what that phrasing is. I had no idea what this was when I first started my jewelry business. I was like, what the heck is a mastermind anyway? It is essentially a virtual room of people. It can be different industries or aligned industries where the person poses their question, obstacle, problem, and then you get input from everyone on how to kind of solve it or tackle it. So I know that this is true for any business owner. You have a time deficit, which is you want more time to do all the things because you're often doing you are the one person doing everything, and then you want more revenue. So for Sparkle Hustle Growth Club, although you can ask anything you want, that's usually what the questions are going to be around. And then kind of a secondary is like systems, how to make like organize everything, and then finding community.
Yeah, I
But
love that.
yeah, Growth Club, it's $97 a month. It's a series of 3 calls a month, and it's a membership for a quarterly membership. So it's not a subscription. You just buy it for the quarter and you're good to go. So I love this because it's an affordable rate or an
Yeah.
accessible rate where people can kind of get different ideas in real time and then actually apply them to their business. And growth does not happen overnight. All those successful TikTok and Instagram stories that we see, while they are so fabulous to look at, that's just not true. There may be a lucky person in there, but for the most part, growth takes time. And that's why we have a quarterly membership model. You're not tied to a year, you're not tied to 6 months, but it's just a mere 3 months so that you can see some growth.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a good point to point out. I mean, yeah, growth does not happen overnight, regardless of what we see online. So, and sometimes, I feel like 3 months is a good way to start things to get your mind going, but I'm sure people will join your mastermind and then realize, like, I achieved this in 3 months. Let's see what I can do in a year. So I
Exactly.
love that you have that membership option. That's really great. So I'll definitely put the link to that in the show notes for anyone who's curious about joining. And honestly, masterminds are like the number one thing that I think has grown a ton of businesses, right? Like
Right.
masterminds make us think of things that we wouldn't necessarily think of ourselves. And there's so much power in just being able to speak with another woman or another business owner who has done it or is doing it. And yeah, masterminds are great for any business.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I love a good course. I love a good what have you, but I think nothing beats chatting about it in real time with
Yeah.
another business owner who really understands, right?
Yes.
You
Exactly.
feel better. So,
You do. I
yeah.
love that. I love that you have that as an option. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we start wrapping up and get your action steps for the week?
Yeah, there's one more thing. So this actually is for people who are on the east side.
Hmm.
I will have started by the time your listeners hear this walking group, and it's called an entrepreneurial walking group, and it's called the Nitty Gritty.
Oh, I love that.
There is so much power in being outside, in movement, in nature, and then talking about, again, your business obstacle or challenge in real time and getting someone else's feedback or suggestion. So I'm super excited for that because, again, I think that's what we want. We want community. We want almost like someone else's, not opinion, but just someone else, just to have someone else to kind of bounce ideas off of and
Yeah,
hear what they think. I just feel like is very powerful.
I
So
agree.
the nitty gritty, and I'll provide links for you for that
Perfect.
as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. I love that. I mean, yeah, similar to masterminding, but in person, that's great too. And I feel like when you walk, you get all these creative ideas. And the thing I love about female entrepreneurship specifically is I feel like we will give each other our true opinions, but only when it's asked for. You know what I mean? Like if
True.
you're in a mastermind, of course you're gonna want feedback. But there's been so many times where I get on a call with like a male entrepreneur and they're like, you should do this and this and this and this. And I'm like, great, I'm good, but thank you. And it just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I just love working with women and masterminding with women and nothing against men. It's just, there's a different energy in
Yeah,
the world of business.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I've really loved this conversation today. Thank you so much for sharing everything. Where is the best place for people to connect with you and also subscribe to Sparkle Hustle Grow subscription box?
Yeah, the best place is to find us on Instagram. That's kind of where we hang out. So our handle is at Sparkle Hustle Grow. Our website is sparklehustlegrow.com. And then from on there at the bottom, you'll see a link to the Sparkle Hustle Growth Club as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. And if you are in the Seattle area, or the East Side area, definitely go connect with Carol. She's sweet and we'll chat with you anytime.
Yes, I will.
Amazing. So every week I ask for the guest to share 3 action steps for the audience to take based on the conversation. So like we were mentioning, growth happens only when you put effort towards it, such as reading or whatever it may be. So I'd love for you to challenge the audience to take that action to grow. So what are the 3 things you want to challenge them with this week?
Such a great question. My challenge would be, or the 3 action steps are to take the time and write down what you want your life to be. How do you envision your life? Like, what's your dream life for you?
Mm-hmm.
Write that down. And that's action 1. And then action 2 is to look at the next 6 months. Because again, nothing happens overnight. And from that first list, I want you to pare it down and write down those 1 to 3 things, or not 1 to 3, 1 to 2 things that you want to have started on in the next 6 months. And then step 3 is I want you to take one of those that you just wrote about, so from action 2, and then write down what are the 3 things that you're going to do, that you're actually going to do, not just say you're going to do, to get there. So does that mean, and I'm going to give you an example because people love examples.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're going to launch a service? I'm making it up here, coaching women hairstylists, because you've been a successful hairstylist yourself. So then that's your big dream. And you want to earn X, number of dollars at the end of 5 years. So action 2 would be identifying or writing down, like, I want to start this coaching program and it's going to be a 6 weeks accelerator on X date and it's going to end X date, and kind of what that program is.
Yeah.
And then the actual 3rd thing, which is the most challenging, this is, I think, where people get stuck, is what are you going to do to actually get those things to happen? So is it hiring out, for a website, or maybe creating something very simple on your own, creating a very simple email flow? What provider are you going to use? There's so many great or low entry ones that don't cost a ton of money. And then the kind of the most important thing is reaching out to your network. Who are the 10 to 15 people that you're going to reach out that are fans of you and fans of how you've done your work, who may be not interested in necessarily becoming a client of yours, but maybe they know folks who can be referred to your program.
I love that. That's great. That's really great. I hope that the audience does that this week. Like, just take some time out one night and just think about what it is you really want and how you're going to get there. So thank you so much, Carol. This conversation has been so fun and interesting. I really appreciate you sharing your story here today.
Thanks so much, Hayleigh, for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Employee to Boss podcast. If you made it to the end of this episode, I hope that you implement the actionable steps from this week's experts so you can get started with your business today. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the Employee to Boss podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps more than you could ever imagine. Remember, a little progress each day leads to big results. We come out with a new episode every Tuesday. To access our show notes, transcripts, and courses, please check out espressopodcastproduction.com.